What's the deal with solar? Here's the best part. I don't sell solar. I don't have a commission to you. So it came in through our social media, and it also came in through our lovely video lady, Cherie, who's right behind the camera. So what's the deal with solar, right? Well, I could just be like, right? Well, it's something that helps with the roofing and it makes your bills lower. That's technically the correct answer. There's a much deeper level to that. We can dive into a couple of the finances here. So you'll have a solar company come out and say, hey, listen, we're going to put the panels on there for free, and we're going to lease the energy to you for years and years and years. And that can sometimes work. Sometimes the lease is like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it is. What that does is it'll freeze your electric bill, right? Because what they're going to do is basically say you now only owe, let's say, $50 a month for the rest of the lease period. So it freezes it. So if you have AC condensers and you have like a big house like this one, and we're showing this house, but this is applicable in the commercial arena too, and we'll get to that in a minute. But if you have a $100, $150 bill, they're going to take the last 12 months of your utility bills. They're obviously going to see if they can help, because it's only like the big companies that they can really help with. National Grid, EverSource, like the big ones. And they're going to analyze what makes the most amount of sense. They're going to bring an engineer in. They're going to put a little, what they call an eye on the top of your roof. And they're going to look around and see, do you have enough solar to make this worthwhile for them or for you? And if you don't, what are there potential trees that are worthwhile taking down? Like, they'll tell you all that stuff. But a lease is you paying them. They own the panels. They're getting any sort of credits or renewables, the energy that comes off of that. They're selling back any excess power to the grid. They're getting all the benefit, the upside, but it freezes your pricing. So a lot of people like that. And there's no huge upfront cost, which we'll talk about that in a second. So when they say, oh, we'll do it for free, yeah, they're getting all the upside. And it does, for you, freezes your utility bill, which is kind of cool. Whether it's $50, whatever it is, okay? That's a lease. Owning panels. Owning panels is a different situation. If you own your solar panels, again, based on where you live, based on the local incentives and rebates, based on the renewable energy credits, they have solar renewable energy credits, or SRECs. Now that program has moved into what's called a SMART program in Massachusetts. But you actually, for every extra megawatt that you generate, on a quarterly basis, you actually get a small dollar amount that goes into an account and gets sent to you every single quarter. It's kind of cool. The bigger pro is that if you size it correctly, the whole goal of owning a solar panel system is that you do not pay an energy bill at all going forward. You want to completely oversize it, because then you're going to be building a negative credit on your bill every single month, and you're not using it really as efficiently as you possibly could. But if they size it appropriately, you have a zero electric bill all year round, forever, until the panels die. The panels have usually a life of 20 to 30 years. That's pretty cool. But then they're like, oh, the panels only cost $25,000. And you're like, what? I don't have $25,000. That's why most people go to leasing. But here's the cool part. If you go to a reputable solar installer, they're gonna have financing programs in place that's very similar to the leasing, where it's maybe very little or zero down, and your interest rate is only about 2 or 3%. And here's the bigger benefits here, is that right now, there's a federal tax credit of 30% of anything that you buy with solar energy. So you get a tax credit back. So if this system here that you're looking at behind me, this was a $100,000 system. It wasn't just the panels though. We also had a massive battery installed. We redid all the paneling. So we have a backup. This was a very bigger system. If we bought it cash, it might have been $60,000 to $70,000. But we opted for zero down, a $100,000 loan. It's at 1.9% interest. We have no payments for 24 months. So in the meantime, instead of paying my utility bill, I am paying the loan back for this. But when I get the 30% tax credit back, that's $33,000. I'm going to take that and apply it towards that loan. So now it's back down to about $70,000, $65,000. And then as time goes on, I'm also getting those small payments from the utility every quarter for any extra energy that I generate. So in this case, call that another $1,000 to $2,000 a year is going to be coming back to me. Plus, every year, my bill right now with National Grid is in the negative about $1,000. We've only had this installed for about 4 months. So in a year from now, I'm going to have about $3,000 or $4,000 negative on my bill, and I get cashed out every 1 to 2 years by National Grid. So they're paying me for the excess energy. So it's another $3,000 to $4,000 a year. That money comes back. I use that right now to pay down the loan. And for me, I like to look at I want a 6 to 8 year payback period. So in year 6 to 8, I'm going to have the entire loan paid off, and I'm going to have a $0 electric bill, and I still get those payments every single quarter and every single year from the utility on the excess use. If you're looking for a really quality installer, if you're in the Massachusetts area or New Hampshire, you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to make the introduction. But it all depends on who your sales rep is, and if they understand. Just tell them, I demand a 6 to 8 year payback period. How can we structure that so that it works? And if they all say, you'll get it all for free if you get a lease, or make sure you're asking them, I want to own. How do I make sure I get paid back 6 to 8 years? That makes it worthwhile.